Alexander Hamilton became a household name in 2015 after Lin-Manuel Miranda's highly successful Broadway musical brought widespread attention to his life story. Despite his passing over 200 years ago, Hamilton is a testament to the American dream and how having integrity, drive, and a willingness to excel can shape individuals into beacons of hope that push society's boundaries for the purpose of the greater good. His story can inspire us to overcome hardships regardless of our backgrounds and highlights the importance of knowing thyself, sticking to your beliefs, and creating your own opportunities in a country where such opportunities may not always come naturally. Today, the information I will be sharing with you is based on historian Ron Chernow's analysis and information available from the Alexander Hamilton Awareness Society. Hamilton was born on the Caribbean island of Nevis in 1755 as the illegitimate son of Rachel Lavian and James Hamilton. Shortly after the family relocated to the island of St. Croix in the early 1760s, Hamilton's father left, leaving the family poor and impoverished. Shortly after his father's departure, Hamilton's mother, cousin, aunt, uncle, and grandmother had all passed away, leaving him orphaned. Penniless, he sought out employment. Merchants David Beekman and Nicholas Kruger recognized Hamilton's intellectual abilities and potential, and they hired him as their clerk when he was 11. When his employers were away on business trips, he was responsible for inventory and personnel management, debt collection, and accounting. During his free time, he would write anything from poems to letters. In 1772, a hurricane descended upon the island. Hamilton, aged 17 at the time, wrote a letter detailing the horrifics of the hurricane, and this letter was later published in the Royal Danish American Gazette. This letter resonated with the people of St. Croix so much that a fund was created to send Hamilton to America, where he could be educated. Now, this was a pivotal opportunity for Hamilton, as prior to this, his status as an illegitimate child barred him from receiving any form of formal schooling. Once in America, Hamilton attended Elizabeth Academy Preparatory School. Inspired by an alumnus of the Academy, a man named Aaron Burr, who went on to graduate college at the age of 16, Hamilton became determined to complete college as quickly as possible, and he needed an institution that would accommodate this request. So he attended King's College, where he became versed in writing and oral communication. He also formed a literary club where he would share his writings and deliver speeches amongst his peers, much like I'm doing today with you. His writings and speeches focused heavily on the injustices caused by the British Parliament, and they were fueled with a notion of seeking freedom, justice, and independence. When the Revolutionary War began in 1775, Hamilton joined the efforts, and he quickly became captain of the New York Provincial Company of Artillery. In this position, he played an instrumental role in the Battle of Princeton, where he fired a cannonball at Nassau Hall, which resulted in 194 British soldiers surrendering. This garnered the attention of George Washington, who in 1777 offered Hamilton a position as Chief of Staff Aide as a Lieutenant Colonel. Now, that same year, Washington promoted a young Aaron Burr to Lieutenant Colonel and offered him a position on his staff. But Burr, fearing that this position would reduce him to a clerk, resigned. In contrast, Hamilton accepted his offer, and he remained in this position for 4 years. As such, in 1781, during the Siege of Yorktown, Hamilton played an influential role in bringing about the surrender of the British Army, which helped bring an end to the Revolutionary War. Several years later, Hamilton felt he would be more influential in the political sphere. Thus, he became a delegate to the Constitutional Convention of 1787, where he attempted to garner support for ratifying the Constitution by utilizing his skills in writing. Thus, under the pseudonym Publius, Hamilton wrote 51 essays defending the ratification of this Constitution. Now, these later became known as the Federalist Papers, and the writings within them have been heralded as one of the most important pieces of text in United States history. Years later, Hamilton, appointed by Washington, became the first Secretary of the Treasury of the United States, where over the course of 6 years, he helped establish a national bank to help improve the country's credit. He developed a tariff system, and he garnered support for manufacturing. All of Hamilton's accomplishments were the direct result of him actively pursuing opportunities as he shattered societal expectations to pursue what he believed was right, despite others saying he was wrong. In contrast, Aaron Burr waited for the perfect opportunity to arise, which often resulted in him watching Hamilton's accomplishments from the sidelines. This caused contention between the two men, as Burr believed that Hamilton had stolen his moments to shine. No longer willing to wait in the shadows, Burr ran in 1796 for a spot as vice president. When asked if he would endorse Burr for the vice presidential seat, Hamilton stated he wouldn't, because he felt Burr valued power over being a public servant. Now, Burr perceived this statement to be a major insult to his honor that could only be resolved through a duel. And so on July 11th, 1804, at 7 a.m., the two men met at the dueling grounds near Weehawken, New Jersey. Hamilton, wishing to do Burr no harm, intentionally aimed his pistol towards the sky, whilst Burr, blinded by his anger, aimed his pistol towards Hamilton. After being shot in the stomach, Hamilton was taken to his friend William Bayard's home, where on his deathbed he made it known that he had no ill will towards Burr. After his death, New York City residents commemorated Hamilton's life by wearing black armbands for a month, and Burr, faced with murder charges, was ostracized for his role in Hamilton's death. Despite his humble beginnings, Hamilton successfully achieved the American dream, and he utilized the skills he had learned throughout his life, along with his drive and integrity, to push the boundaries of what was expected of someone of his pedigree. These characteristics led him to accomplish many things that we still see today, including the Coast Guard, the First National Bank, and the foundation of our current political system. Without this individualism and drive, Hamilton College as we know it would have never existed. I mean, in 1793, Reverend Samuel Kirkland and Chief Shenandoah of the United People created a plan to educate colonial and indigenous children together. Hamilton, who was Secretary of the Treasury at the time, became a trustee of the school, and he gave permission for this school to be in his name. Thus, Hamilton College was born, and with it, the Know Thyself was created. To know thyself means that once one gains full appreciation for their skills, interests, and strengths, they can then produce meaningful contributions to society. Hamilton is a clear example of this, and this college has become an example of his long-lasting legacy and the type of person he was, a person who pulled himself up by the bootstraps to actually pursue opportunities. He dedicated his life to his beliefs, even when others said he was wrong. Justices. Looking back at Hamilton and the legacy he has created, there are many things we could take away from his life. First, regardless of where we come from, as long as we stay true to ourselves and our beliefs, we'll be able to forge opportunities that create futures and legacies for ourselves. Secondly, if we have something we strongly believe in, we should stand up for it, even if others don't stand with us. Because if we stand for nothing, what will we fall for? Lastly, when presented with an opportunity, we should not throw away our shot, because it may open many doors and begin the first chapter of what may consequently be known as our legacy. Thank you.
Okay, this question for you comes actually from the lawyer of the bunch, which is, do you think that Hamilton's legal career shaped his legacy at all?
I think for Hamilton, his I guess you could say occupation as a lawyer did influence him in a way. He didn't spend a lot of time as a lawyer. He just really felt like it wasn't where he could be the most influential. I mean, for him, it was a stepping stone. So I guess one could argue that had Hamilton also not become a lawyer, he wouldn't be the person that we know him as. So I beg to say that it's merely a stepping stone and not truly the most pivotal moments of his life that influenced him.
Okay, very good. And one other question here. In your research, did you come across aspects of Hamilton's personality that were not fully represented in the musical?
So I would say for Hamilton, in terms of the musical, one of the aspects that didn't really shine through was that he still was a family man. In the musical, we see him not really wanting to spend time with his family. You know, his wife is begging him, his sister-in-law is begging him, his child is begging him to spend time with them. But Hamilton actually had more children than the one son that we saw in the musical. He had several children, and as such, he would always try and be with him whenever he could, despite his occupation. So he definitely had more of a work-life balance than the musical lets on to believe.